The highly anticipated indie game has been in production for, wait, hang on, let me do this. For so long that it's become an internet meme. Yes, it has. Hi everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Game On, about a very special game that we'll be playing soon. The wait is over. It's surreal to write, but it's true. Silksong will be out September 4th. After 6 years of a near total silence from developers and enough feverish anticipation to make it the most wish-listed game on Steam, the sequel to the indie hit Hollow Knight is releasing in 2 weeks. Team Cherry, the small team behind both games, announced news Thursday in a trailer. This just happened. How are they talking like it happened like a couple of weeks ago? Often such protracted development cycles are caused by mismanagement and result in painful burnout among the staff, but speaking to me last week on a video call from their office in Adelaide, Australia, Team Cherry co-founders Ari Gibson and William Pellin said that making Silksong has been nothing but a joyful process. We've been having fun, Gibson said. The whole thing is just a vehicle for our creativity anyway. It's nice to make fun things. The lengthy production wasn't the result of development. Oh yeah, wait, what's the price? That's true. The lengthy production wasn't the result of development challenges or obstacles, they said. They just needed all the years to ensure that Silksong was exactly the game they wanted to make. Honestly, W. Honestly, legitimate W. Honestly. I would rather have that, like, I would rather wait another year and have them, like, be like, okay, it's like perfect, than to have them release it early. But the fact that they feel good about releasing it now is great. It was never stuck or anything, Gibson said. It was always progressing. It's just the case that we're a small team and games take a lot of time. There wasn't any big controversial moment behind it. The Silksong, oh, Twitter's gonna be pissed about this. Twitter's gonna read between the lines and be like, there's no drama? There's no drama to feed off of? Wait a minute, but there's this, something happened. I can tell. Something happened. The Silksong saga started in 2017 when Team Cherry released Hollow Knight, an action platformer set in a vast world of okay, I'm gonna skip that. Yes, it was popular. Okay, I get it. Initially, Gibson and Pellin had planned to release an expansion pack revolving around Hornet, one of its key characters, but in February 2019, they announced the expansion had grown too big. It would instead become a full-fledged sequel titled Silksong. Now, hang on. So, I have something to say. You guys know what else started out as an expansion that turned into a project that was too big that ended up being its own full-fledged sequel? Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom was phenomenal. It was great, but it didn't have that same spark that Breath of the Wild did because it wasn't as new of a game as I would have liked. Like, it didn't have that same mystery and just new, fresh feeling to it. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen here. We'll see, I guess. I mean, I'm just gonna have to play it. We'll see. Tears of the Kingdom was the biggest DLC ever. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that doesn't happen with Silksong. It doesn't seem like it will. It seems like there's a new. First off, there's a new world. In Breath of the Wild, there wasn't a new world. And don't even be like, oh, the Sky Islands and the depths. Yes, I'm talking about that. But the central world was identical. Hollow Knight had been massive, and their plan at the outset was to build a smaller world for Silksong to ensure the game felt just as deep. They'd implemented an elaborate quest system that would offer the player reasons to backtrack and revisit old locations. In contrast to Hollow Knight, which had a single town full of shops and characters to meet, there would also be multiple towns serving as hub for quests. Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. I'm happy about that. I don't like, guys, nothing against Dirtmouth. Guys, put the torches away. Put the torches away. Nothing against Dirtmouth. But having a few towns or multiple towns, more than a few towns to go back to is going to be cool. Even at the point we were recognizing that it was going to become another giant thing to rival the scale of Hollow Knight, or probably exceed it, Gibson said, and then because of how we work, obviously the world ended up just as big or bigger, and the quest system existed, and multiple towns existed. Suddenly you end up 6-7 years later. That's cool. Okay, I don't think this is going to be another Tears of the Kingdom type deal. I don't think this is going to be another Tears of the Kingdom type thing. It sounds like they I don't even think they should have said this, honestly. Because it sounds like, I mean, it is the lore of the game, but like, it sounds like it's just an entirely new game. That's what it sounds like. It all came down to their development style, which may have been too much fun. Gibson and Pellin, who were joined by programmer Jack Vine, composed Chris Larkin, and a few contractors who helped with programming and testing, started off by designing the core gameplay for Hornet, the game's slick protagonist. From there, it was... Guys, can we talk about how we're basically just going to be a Peepo girl boss running around slaying puppet monsters? Can we talk about how Hornet's finally getting the attention that Hornet deserves? From there, it was easy to implement and test out new ideas, even as the game grew bigger. We're very fortunate that we have development method so that is so enjoyable. Wait, we're very fortunate that we have a development method that is so enjoyable, Gibson said. Not exactly sure how we stumbled into that. Everything comes together quickly, you can see results fast, ideas turn into something that exists in the game almost immediately before your eyes. And that's very satisfying. And that allows you to go off on these tangents and meet weird characters because someone's offhandedly mentioned a weird character as an idea, and the other person's laughed, and that's enough. Sounds like the South Park creators, honestly. You're always the South Park says like the same thing. You're always working on a new idea, new item, new area, new boss, Pellin said. That stuff's so nice. It's for the sake of just completing the game that we're stopping. We could have kept going. Bro, go off. Go off and keep going. The downside, or you know what, maybe they'll make DLC for this game. The downside of this methodology was that it could have lasted forever. I remember at some point I just had to stop sketching, Gibson said, because I went, everything I'm drawing here has to end up in the game. That's a cool idea, that's in. That's a cool idea, that's in. You realize if I don't stop drawing, this is gonna take 15 years to finish. This is gonna be game of the year. This is gonna be game of the year. I guarantee it. During the development of Hollow Knight, Gibson and Pellin frequently posted game updates and talked to players. At the end of 2019, Team Cherry posted one more update about Silksong, then went silent, much to fans' dismay. We felt like continued updates were just going to sour people on the whole thing, Gibson said, because all we could really say is we're still working on it. They wanted to be, guys, they took a page out of Siret Poftware's book, the antithesis to pirate software. Instead of releasing an update every 3 months saying that we're still working on it, they just went radio silent, which ended up working out, I guess. They wanted to be particularly cautious about avoiding spoilers. Much of the thrill of Hollow Knight came from accidentally stumbling upon secret passageways or breaking down walls to find hidden bugs. Silksong has plenty of its own secrets that they didn't want to detail before the release. Can I talk about something? I'm so happy that I'll be playing this game on release. So that the number of people that know everything about the game will be dramatically reduced. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people that stopped by that knew everything about the game that wanted to backseat the entire game. Granted, W Narco sucks because Narco was there for most of the time and Narco was pretty good about that. But it's just gonna be nice having just the sheer volume reduced. Plus, they thought Silksong would be out much sooner. Instead of popping up and bugging people, as I was saying, instead of popping up and bugging people, for the sake of it, it felt like our actual responsibility was just to work on the game. Pellin said, probably at the time we thought we'd go quiet for a year or two, then the game would come out. In 2020, W reader, by the way. In 2020, as COVID disrupted most video game productions around the world, Adelaide was able to stave off the worst of the pandemic, going months without new cases, which allowed Gibson and Pellin to continue plugging along on Silksong. Seems a little odd knowing that the rest of the world has such a dramatic and isolating period, Gibson said. Here we were, going to cafes and having brunch. Guys, Team Cherry's just living their best life. I mean, Team Cherry's literally just living their best life. Seriously. Silksong briefly resurfaced in 2022 during an Xbox event, which promised that all of the games shown would be out within a year. Xbox doubled down on Twitter, saying Hollow Knight sequel would be out before June 2023. Oh, okay, so they did kind of pull a page out of Pirate Software's book. At the time, they thought it was all true. We did genuinely believe that that was the case, Pellin said. There was a period of 2 or 3 years where I thought it was going to come out within a year. But the game kept growing. Silksong has more elaborate bosses than Hollow Knight. Pantheon 6 confirmed, by the way. More gameplay systems and more interactivity. Gibson and Pellin wanted objects in the world to react to Hornet's various tools, which required a ton of drawing and animation work. Guys, okay, all I want to say is that I really hope that I really hope there is something similar to the Pantheons and Silksong. And I hope that it's not a DLC. I hope it comes out with the base game. I'm really hoping that. I think we're always underestimating the amount of time and effort it'll take us to achieve things, Gibson said. It's also that problem where, because we're having fun doing it, it's not like it's taking longer. This is awful. We really need to get past this phase. This is a very enjoyable space to be in. Let's perpetuate this with some new ideas. The longer, it sounds like their headspace is in such a good spot. Like, I know they're not saying this game's gonna be great and like this is gonna be amazing. But they're like the way that they're talking about the creativity process is essentially like this is about to be Game of the Year. It sounds like they're like the headspace that they're in is just so good. The longer the development lasted, the more pressure Gibson and Pellin felt to ensure that everything was as fine-tuned as possible. They'd already spent 4 years on it. Why would they rush now? The more time they spent polishing some parts, the more time they needed to apply consistently across the rest. There's a level of finish that has to be met through the entire game, Pellin said. All the way the systems interact, all the hidden work that pops up later on, it's multiplicative. As you add stuff, the process of tying it back together just increases. Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that. Throughout development, Team Cherry, because like if you make one new character, it doesn't have to tie back to like one thing. It has to tie back to the entire world. That's a big spider web after a while, guys. Throughout development, Team Cherry remained tiny, which may have extended the production time, but also saved them from the slog of having to manage and delegate. We don't want to mess with the formula and then find out it's not fun, Gibson said. I used to manage teams in past lives. I don't really want to do that ever again. Staying small also meant eschewing the production practices commonplace at many game development studios. What is Jira? Gibson said. When I asked if they use task management applications, is it a software? Okay, this is something that's only... Does anybody understand this reference? I feel like this is something that only like Slack managers could understand. Is it a software, Pellin said, adding that they briefly used Trello before their account was deactivated before they didn't use it enough. As development dragged on, the hype for Silksong grew more feverish. Screenshot Team Cherry. Guys, can we talk about the beauty of the screenshot, by the way? And above all, the lighting. Look at this lighting in the background. It looks so good. Perhaps the reason Silksong took so long was that Team Cherry never had to worry about the one thing that kept other independent developers awake at night: money. During the production of Hollow Knight, they'd stayed lean, sometimes living off leftover triangle sandwiches that their office neighbor would bring them after meetings. My dad would sometimes pop up and give me $20, Gibson said. I'd be like, oh, I'm having a coffee today. Bro, this is the most base team of all time. Is this not the most base team of all time? They're basically aura farming. This interview is an aura farm. Every paragraph, I'm gaining respect for them. Thanks to their first game's massive financial success, Gibson and Pellin no longer have to scrounge leftovers. For Pellin, who has 2 kids and a third on the way, that's provided an inestimable peace of mind. For Gibson, who said he spends most of his time at the office, it hasn't changed much. I live in a very basic 2-bedroom apartment, he said. Sometimes I think, you know what would be better is a 1-bedroom apartment, because then there's even less to maintain. The game has continued to generate revenue by reaching new players, perhaps in large part due to the Silksong buzz. When the studio announced Silksong in February 2019, Hollow Knight had sold 2.8 million copies. The game had sold another 12 million copies since then. Wow. Allowing Team Cherry to keep working on the sequel indefinitely without having to worry about running out of funds. That's insane, actually. That's insane. We're very lucky in that regard, Gibson said. I don't ever really think about it that much. Maybe that's the privilege of it. As the years went on, the hype kept building. A Reddit forum dedicated to the game filled up with nonsensical blabber and made up tweets which users called silk posts, a variation of the expletive. Meanwhile, chat sections for video game live streams and Nintendo Direct events were plagued with the same feral messages repeated over and over. Silksong when? Guys, you want to know if someone's young? You want to know if someone's young and not old? I'm talking early 20s or younger. Is if they say something like insert game when, or insert what do you call it? Mod when. That's how you know someone is young. Gibson and Pellin turned it all out, rarely going online. They say they never read comments on YouTube or Reddit, although occasionally friends or family would send some of the funniest ones. Pong 2 when. It's nice that people are passionate about the game, and that they've obviously formed their own strange or very exciting communities around it. Very strange communities around it. No, that's probably true, actually. Ain't no way we have Silksong before GTA 6. Bro, how many things do we have before GTA 6? We might even have World War III before GTA 6. If that's the case, then nothing can top that. Feels like we're gonna ruin their fun by releasing the game, Pellin said. Once in a while, people would show up at Team Cherry office, sometimes with their children, perhaps hoping for a Willy Wonka-type experience. Inevitably, they were disappointed by what they found. Instead, it's a grubby room with cardboard boxes, Gibson said. That's based, though. Their walls remain the same dull avocado color that they were when Team Cherry moved in more than a decade ago. They never even put up art. They've been too busy making the game. That is so indicative of... That reminds me of my classrooms, honestly. That reminds me of my old classrooms that I used to have. I swear to God, guys, in one of my old classrooms that I had, one of the students walked in one time. It was like halfway through the year, and they were like, you know, being in here with how little decorations and art there is around, it literally feels like being in a prison. That is so indicative of just like not wanting to put any effort into anything other than the thing that actually matters. In early 2025, Gibson and Pellin began to see the finish line and started making plans to release the game in the fall. Players desperate for information devoured every scrap of news, like the announcement that it would be playable at the museum in September, hoping that it might finally be out this might finally be the year. Both Nintendo and Microsoft said that live events during this year, that Silksong was planned for 2025, but fans were cautious. They had been down this road before. Meanwhile, Team Cherry kept working. The shape of the game has been finalized for a while, Pellin said. The last year or two has been all about the details, adding small encounters, polishing everything and tying it all together. And they're still working to finalize things until the last possible minute. As we spoke with Silksong, a little more than 3 weeks out, I spotted programmer Jack Fine in the background tweaking code for one of the game's console ports. Gibson and Pellin say they're very happy that the game is finally coming out, and even happier that they will get to keep working on it, which they still find enjoyable even after 7 years. They haven't burned out or shown any desire to take a break. Instead, they're already making big plans to add extra content to Silksong in the months and years to come. Launching it is obviously quite exciting, Pellin said. What comes after for us is equally exciting. The most interesting thing now is what we can add. What can we add to it next? Gibson said. We got a plan, admittedly. Some of the plans for that stuff are kind of ambitious as well, but hopefully we can achieve some of it. Stay tuned for 2032 to see how that turns out. 2032, that has to be a sarcastic comment. That has to be a sarcastic comment, right? Like, ha ha ha, another 7 years? Maybe it is DLC. Maybe it's DLC. Guys, all Gibson and Pellin have to do is just keep drawing. Just whatever cool ideas that they keep thinking to themselves, just keep drawing. Zote DLC confirmed. DLC bigger than Silksong. Zote song in 2032. Oh man. That would actually be hilarious.